What's going down, y'all? It's the Wake Up Crew. Ray G, joined as always by my man Jay Rich to talk some NFL Thursday Night Football prop plays over on PRIZEPICKS for this riveting Houston Texans versus Philadelphia Eagles game. We're going to have some fun tonight, but we did grind the model. We checked out some data. Shout out to my Spari helping us out, helping us navigate this very, very interesting game tonight. Jay, let's just get into the game. It's probably not going to be a good game. The Philadelphia Eagles 7-0 and the Houston Texans, one of the worst teams in the NFL. They are down Brandon Cooks, their top receiver, and they are also down Nico Collins, their second receiver. So it's all Davis Mills and it's all Dameon Pierce for the Houston Texans. Jay, let's just pull up the board, and I'm going to start with the play that I like, that I'm rolling with, and it's Davis Mills under 12 fantasy score. You look at what he's done over his last 5, he's averaging about 12.5. But versus Tennessee, where they punt the ball 8 times, and we'll talk about punts in a minute, 8.8 fantasy score. Again, no Brandon Cooks, no Nico Collins. Versus this Philadelphia defense, Jay, I'm expecting them to intercept him a time or two, potentially strip sack fumble. They're not going to be able to move the ball on this defense. I'm not overthinking it. The yards opened up at 218.5 for Davis Mills. They've already been hammered down to 205. I don't want to take this because he could be in there at the end of the game where Philly pulls everybody and he's just throwing and some people catch a couple of passes. But the fantasy score less than 12, I'm taking that.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it, right? Davis Mills, a guy who is prone to interceptions, and we know the Eagles like to pressure the quarterback, and they're not going to be afraid with nobody on the outside of consequence to stop them. And then you look at the Eagles, do you want a Jalen Hurts passing yards over? He is headed home, Houston, for the first time playing in Houston. So it will be a big game for Jalen Hurts, and there's a couple props I do like. The main one I think is my favorite play is Miles Sanders, anytime touchdown. It's easily just like my favorite one by far. He's probably going to run if he does get in the end zone, but it's minus 120 on the books, anywhere from plus 105 to minus 150, minus 120 on DraftKings. Obviously, we saw what Derrick Henry did. We saw what the Tennessee Titans were able to do, and I think that even if you like Jalen Hurts over that 2.5 pass plus rush touchdowns,
I do.
That's pretty good too. A team favored by 14 points, over under is 45. Like, people are not expecting Houston to score at all. And if you expect the Eagles to score, hopefully they can score a lot in the first half, because we know in the second half they tend to chill out a little bit. Miles Sanders, though, should definitely find the end zone in this one. The Texans still the worst team against the run. They're probably going to use a committee of backs, and that's the reason why I'm not all in on receiving props for this game. But I still believe that Miles Sanders should see the end zone. And then if you want to believe that Jalen Hurts can throw for 2 touchdowns and run for 1, I'm fine with that too. But Miles Sanders would be my core play. And the sneaky one, Ray, I'm telling you, Dameon Pierce over his rushing yards. Everyone wants to believe that there's no way the Texans can stay in this game. 63.5 yards sounds like a lot, but the books, they know what they're talking about, man. They played Tennessee last week. Tennessee has the number 1 defense in the league against the run. And then you look at before that, he's hit in 5 of his previous games because he gets the rock a lot. You already mentioned they're going to heavily rely on Dameon Pierce in this one. If they can stay competitive for even 2 quarters, the Eagles allow 4.8 yards per carry. The issue is most teams get blown out by them in the first half and then abandon the run in the second half. So again, it's going to be tough, but don't be surprised if Dameon Pierce does go over. I'm not saying you should take it, but it's one that I'm heavily intrigued by in this one.
And I believe Jordan Davis, the big D tackle for Philly, is out.
Yes, not expected to play.
Not expected to play. I've got 2 more. We're all over Houston. We don't like the Texans, but we're all over their props.
No.
Jalen Petre's tackles and assisted tackles more than 6.5. Philadelphia, they run the 3rd most plays per game, only behind the Chargers and 1 play behind the Arizona Cardinals. Jalen Petre has hit this number, I believe, in 4 of his last 6 games. In safeties versus Philadelphia versus Dallas, Malik Hooker had 13. Minkah Fitzpatrick had 6. Budda Baker had 7. If the game script is Philadelphia is going to be able to do whatever they want against this defense, what I love about Jalen Petre is he's excellent in coverage. He's a sure tackler, and they use him close to the line of scrimmage. He's got multiple tackles for a loss on the season. Jalen Petre, for me, I really like this number of 6.5 for Jalen Petre, and I would recommend it as a core play. And the final Houston Texans prop that we're going to talk about, little obscure. We've never talked about a punt prop, Jay, but Cameron Johnston, 5.5 punts. If the game script is Houston cannot throw the ball on Philadelphia, and they're going to be forced into 3-and-out situations. They had 8 punts versus Tennessee last week. 5.5 punts.
Yeah.
We're banking on 6 punts in this matchup for Philly. For Houston. Jay, I like the number, man. I like this number a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I talk about Dameon Pierce and the Texans needing to stay competitive, even though, Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards and Dontrell Hilliard ran for another 80. That game was still close enough, right, to where you need to punt and you need to try and stay in the game and play the field position game. And it didn't work out for them last week, but they still have to stay in the game or they'll be going for it on 4th down every play. If they're down 25, they're down 30, right? Because that's where I think the prop gets dicey. But otherwise, Ray, your case is right there. Houston's awful. They shouldn't be able to move the ball, and they should have a lot of punts early. Can they get to 6? Probably in 3 quarters, because you probably have to get it in 3 quarters. I think it's going to be close, but I don't mind. I do like it as a play.
I like
if you want to go there.
Thursday night games have been awful too, and with a low projected scoring total, with Houston 14-point dogs, 14.5-point dogs at home. I just don't know how. I truly just don't know how they're going to move the ball without their top 2 receiving options. It's going to be all Dameon Pierce. If I'm Philadelphia, I'd load the box and dare Davis Mills to throw the ball. I think this is a solid play, more than 5.5 punts. The core plays, Mills, less than 12 fantasy score, Miles Sanders to score a touchdown. Jay, we do like Dameon Pierce's rushing yards, Jalen Petre's tackles and assisted tackles, and Cameron Johnston's punts. There we go. That's it for the Thursday night matchup between Houston and Philadelphia. As always, take what you like, leave what you don't. All that we ask is you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, like the content, comment below, let me know what you're rocking with today. As always, if you tail, give PrizePicks hell, and if we fail, don't bail. We'll be back with more NBA plays, college football plays, NFL plays throughout the week on the channel. We appreciate y'all tapping in. Good luck and good night.